time for the Jackals to make dash, and welcome back to the mansion. I'm gonna go for at least one more run. A couple things before we get started. Sorry if there's a bit of noise in the background. My Xbox is on. I'm currently in the middle of a zombies game, and I'm on round 53, so I don't want to stop it. The other thing, two other things actually. I did look up the Twilight voice actor and compared the credits with this one and the and my little investigations. They are indeed the same. My hunch was correct. The sort of final thing is that I may have screwed up the aspect ratio a bit on the other ones. It's not a 16:9 aspect ratio. And I ended up doing my math wrong. I put it in as a 5:3 when it's actually an 8:5. It's 1280 by 800, which makes about a 6% difference. So it was squished a little bit. I'll try to fix that for the next ones. I didn't realize it until after I'd already rendered and uploaded it, and I didn't want to do it again. Fortunately, the videos are only like 70 megabytes, though, thanks to the fact that it's mostly still. I mean, you only really need, there's an iframe, and all the P frames are basically the same. So, anyway, because we didn't take we haven't taken this combination yet, I'm going to go with the key and the necklace and take the right corridor.
Trixie makes for the right door of the foyer, bounding into the room at the end of the hall, slamming the door shut behind her. The shadow's distant cries fade, apparently giving up the chase. The room is unremarkable, and for a moment Trixie heads over to the window, asserting that she is in the front corner of the mansion. She observes a high wall and fence extending all around, making escape through the windows seem impossible. Before she
turns inevitable.
Away,
those are two very different things.
Spy bits laying on the windowsill. Feeling that turning back is not an option, she continues through the only other door, pressing deeper into the mansion. You gain 5 bits.
Yay for me, I guess. Let's continue.
Trixie enters into another unremarkable room, but this time with more doors. A varnished plaque sits beside the door on the right reading Bathhouse, whilst a similar sign sitting by the door straight ahead reads Kitchen. A third, unmarked door on the left is also present. Which door will you take?
Okay, last time I went into a room with bath in the name, I died. And had to, completely restart. Kitchen sounds like a place where there will probably be a bunch of, floating knives that are gonna stab me or something, so I'm gonna go through the unmarked door. I'm gonna take my chances, without knowing where I'm going.
Upon entering the next room,
okay, it's Twilight. Let's help her this time, since you do get points for it, and we already left her once.
Without hesitation,
and I'm gonna lose the key since that's what I lost, that's the only one I've used so far.
The bubbling pit gurgles and refuses to put up with this manner of
okay, so this is something we've already done.
A piece of gum
let's.
Leaving the room clean
I think.
and untouched.
I think
Still looking desperately
shut up. I think I took the left door last time, or I took the. No, I took the right door, and that zapped me, and I took the forward door, which took me to that other room. So I haven't been left yet. Let's go left. Oh no, that's the zapping room, and we lost our bits. Okay, let's go right then. No, that also okay. So both of those zap. Let's go forward then. And I think I took the left door last time, so let's go forward.
The couple carefully slip into the next room, a smaller branch of the
there are a couple
many
now.
corridors. In front of them is a shimmering glass door, revealing the back of the estate. Beside the door is a golden placard with garden engraved into it. The door labeled kitchen on the right seems to be locked. There is also a door on the left which is unlabeled. Which way will you go?
So the kitchen is locked. And then I can go to the garden. I don't think I'm gonna go to the garden. It's not capitalized.
Pushing the surprisingly heavy glass door open, the girls trot across the cobblestone walkway as they approach the entrance to the garden. Descending a few stone steps, they let out shivers and gasps as a sudden chill comes over them.
Or at least outside.
A tree rivaling Twilight's own library house stands prominent.
All of them do now.
Statue of the mansion itself. To the left of it, a stone well is planted firmly into the ground. Twilight, realizing exactly what kind of natural phenomena lies before them, explodes into a flurry of fast facts and excited lecturing. Trixie's ears gently lower with each passing minute. Will you inspect the tree or go over to the well?
With each passing hour, year, minute, it says in the narration. So, let's inspect the tree, I guess.
Getting a little too close for the tree's comfort, it lashes out in self-defense from a gentle nudge Twilight gives it mid-lecture and grabs hold of the mares. Twisting branches, tree roots, and thick, long vines swirl around them and pull them hard into the body of the tree. Slowly, the girls are consumed as they are held helplessly in place.
Alright, so that was a game over, so let's go back and inspect the well instead.
Trixie trots over to the well, leaving Twilight behind for a moment as she incessantly babbles on about the history of the great tree. The two stop dead in their tracks, the chilling sensation of the frosty air coming over them once again as they observe through the deep and dense fog of the garden what look like headstones peeking out from between the bushes on one of the paths.
Is that
I think it is.
Will you remain at the well, or go to the graveyard?
In a haunted mansion, going to a graveyard doesn't sound like the greatest idea. Let's stick at the well.
Wanna make a wish, Twilight?
Trixie jabs an elbow
Make
to
a
Twilight's
wish,
side.
it's your
Only
birthday.
if it gets us out of this place.
Twilight playfully returns the friendly attack. Not knowing her own strength, Twilight squeals as she watches Trixie tumble backwards
Ooh.
and into the well's frame, crushing it entirely with her body as she tumbles through the stones down into the very bottom.
Trixie! Are you okay?
As Twilight peers into the black, a dark chuckle rides the midnight air as her own hooves give way, the stones supporting her dropping into the well and taking her with them. It might have hurt more, but luckily for Twilight, a big blue cushion was sitting at the very bottom for her to land on.
I kind of think they should have, changed the original text to match the narration, because a lot of times it's not matching, or they should have just stuck to the text and, maybe changed, a few factual or grammatical errors, spelling errors. But one thing always annoys me, and that's when subtitles, which I'm using these as subtitles basically, don't match the don't match the spoken the lines, it takes out some of the he said, she said, blah 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 blah, which I honestly think it should either narrate those or take them out of the subtitles, or maybe just leave one that says their name, Twilight, Trixie, are you okay? But it bugs me when the text doesn't match the narration. All right, let's continue.
Oh gosh, are you okay, Trixie?
Alleviating her rear from
Oh
the floor,
boy,
Twilight spins
not this
to help
again.
her friend up, grasping her hoof.
Thanks. For nothing.
Without warning, Trixie suddenly receives a face full of Twilight as the grip between the two mares disappears. Struggling to pull away, Twilight withdraws herself and stands back.
What was that?
Twilight, help me. Twilight?
Trixie's requests for a rescue are deterred as she notices her friend's lip fumbling. To the show pony's horror, she gazes down into the center of the well and sees an odd blue liquid running away into it. Trixie's entire azure form bubbles and oozes as it transforms from its solid state, running away across the stone floor towards the drain as more and more of her disappears. The poor mare flails like a living puddle as Twilight watches on until finally, the last of her friend's silvery mane slithers down into the drain. Unsure of how to feel or what to do, Twilight realizes that the choice has already been made for her, as she lifts her hoof to her mouth, finding it too has begun to dissolve into a purple liquid.
A bit of Twilight is dripped
down
onto
in the depths
Trixie.
below the mansion, Trixie lays face down on a freezing stone floor. Her tail oozing out of the drainage pipe and finally reforming with the rest of her body, she takes a moment to gather herself. Knowing that all will be well, she ignores the whimpering echoes emanating from the pipe as Twilight's own gooey form follows closely behind, turning her attention to where they have now been taken. Options are very limited. To all sides, a dark and dismal dungeon awaits. Will you go left or right?
So, at least we didn't turn into sea ponies this time. Also, that was like the longest page ever. Okay, we can either go left or right. It looks like it's sort of the same thing that happened with the bathtub. We can see. Let's go right. I'm just gonna go with my gut.
The very tip of their horns aglow, Twilight is still shaking her head as she recovers from the sensation of being forced through a pipe.
I I hope that's not something that's normal.
Very
around here.
nasally Twilight. A lot of voice
Turning her
actors I've
lip
noticed are
with
more
no
nasally than their
response,
actual
Trixie
characters.
winces her left eye as she notices the glow of her friend's light a little brighter and closer than it really should be. Pausing, she glares to her side as she notices Twilight getting closer to her, cowering as she peers forth into the darkness.
What's wrong?
Personal space. Trixie needs it.
Giving a huff, Twilight takes a marked step away from the blue pony and throws her hoof out, giving Trixie clearance to move on as they press further into the dungeon. Ahead on the right, the girls find a lone door. Carry on or enter the door.
Going into a door in a dungeon is probably only going to lead to trolls, so let's continue.
Ignoring the obvious trap, the girls progress just a bit farther into the darkness and come across a low incline staircase. Following it, they discover a secret passage and enter back into the first floor foyer. Knowing better than to try the front door covered in shadowy webbing, they ascend the stairs as their only option.
Alright, so I guess this is going to take us back to sort of the beginning. Did we just go in a giant circle?
Entering into the second floor foyer, the girls are presented with a multitude of options. Doors line the walls of the room, and behind them, a grandfather clock ticks quietly. Trixie tries a few of the doors and rattles them in their frames, finding a few to be locked. Will you inspect the clock, or take one of the doors?
Okay, that door way in the back looks like the one that we encountered, that weird shadow pony looking thing in previous playthrough. Hopefully we got Darren Do on the right. Let's inspect the clock, I guess. It's probably a trap, but whatever.
What's this old thing?
Trixie canters up to the antique clock.
It's a grandfather clock. They're really old and really cool.
Of course you would,
Trixie rolls
Twilight.
her eyes at the last part.
Hey, something's wrong.
Of
What
course
is
it
it?
would be in this place.
Look, it stopped ticking.
Pointing up at the still hands on the clock's face, Twilight opens the wooden latch on the device's chest to find the pendulum hanging still.
Don't touch it, Twilight. Let's go. It's just a piece of junk.
As Trixie pivots
Good thinking,
and begins
Trixie.
to make her way towards one of the nearby doors, the clock lets out a loud clunk as Twilight resets the pendulum and it begins to swing again.
Oh, it still works. That's so cool. Wait.
She pauses amongst her statement. Okay, we can only continue. Probably gonna die here.
What is it?
Trixie lets out a quiet groan, not even mustering the energy to face her friendly time waster.
It's ticking backwards. That's really weird.
Can we please just go?
Time stopped and
As
is
Trixie
now
rolls
going
her body
backwards.
around, bothered just enough to grace Twilight with her attention, she cocks her head as she notices something odd.
Twilight?
Yeah?
You are shrinking!
As Trixie alerts Twilight to the sudden change, Twilight withdraws another few inches in height, her eyes enlarging as her body seems to decrease in proportion.
Nuh-uh. You're shrinking.
God, those voices. We can only continue. I'm probably gonna get a death here, but...
Trixie gasps in shock, looking upon her form as she sees herself leveling with Twilight, her own body returning to filly-like proportions. The grandfather clock before them ticks furiously as the second hand begins to sweep hours by in reverse, and soon the girls find themselves deep in their childhoods once more, their cutie marks vanishing from their tiny flanks. They don't care about their cutie marks right now, though. As the clock winds to a stop, the fillies look upon one another with a swelling glee before suddenly Trixie leaps at Twilight. The girls tumble about before galloping after one another, merry giggling and laughter filling the dead quiet of the mansion. A presence allows the two to find their way towards the nursery room just a corridor away, the girls stopping in their tracks at the sight of a child's heaven. With toys laden about, the two fillies may never want to grow up ever again. Game over.
At least they look cute. If we go back... Oh, we can go all the way back this time. Okay, instead... which we weren't allowed to... You know, well, when we turned into sea ponies, I wasn't allowed to go all the way back, but this took me a few pages. Alright, so, I think I'm gonna end the video there. And we'll pick... I'll pick the first forward door, but it'll be the next one. So you'll have to wait. In the next video, you will get to see what is beyond the first forward door. I am Twilight and Trixie, and I'm out.